With us now on the MegaCast is Lindsay Warren, the Public Relations Director and Network Manager at the Mighican Animal Adoption Network, one of nearly 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform. Lindsay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I appreciate having you on. So first off, can you tell us about the Mighican Animal Adoption Network and the services that it provides across the state?
Absolutely. It's a really unique program. The name is a little bit deceiving. While we began in 1994 doing the traditional work of adopting animals out in the Pontiac area, and what we found when our president and vice president, who are still with us today, they would drive into Pontiac to do work at a traditional shelter, and they were seeing packs of stray dogs and feral cat colonies, and they were realizing there was a problem outside of the traditional shelter environment. And so that's sort of where our organization began. They realized that outreach work was needed in Pontiac. It's a low-income area. There's high crime. And so the first thing they noticed was, we need to get these animals sterilized. We need to spay and neuter them. We need to find, homes for them, of course. So that's kind of the birth of the organization over 30 years ago. And, through the years, we have had foster families who, will take animals in and adopt them. And so, of course, that's where our name came from. But over the years, as we continued to do that work, we saw there was still this need on the streets. So while our focus has shifted a little bit away from what our name is, and we do the work with our street team called the Animal Care Network, we still do, want to save animals and get them homes. So we have shelter partners, and that's where the network name comes in. So we have really close ties with the Oakland County Animal Shelter and the Michigan Animal Rescue League. But our day-to-day work is really helping families in Pontiac. There's two primary focuses. We have a high population of fixed income elderly folks. So folks that want to keep their pets, they adore their pets, but they're sometimes short on funds. So they'll contact our manager and say, hey, I've paid all my bills this week or this month, and I have enough food for me. But, I'm more concerned about feeding my pet. Like, I would feed them first, before I'd feed myself. And so we say to them, of course, we'll help you. We don't have any requirements in terms of showing their income. They just have to tell us that there's a need and that they have had their animals spayed or neutered. And again, I'll touch on that in a second because we help with that as well. But basically we say to them, we've got you. We will supplement your pet's food up to twice a month, dry food, wet food. Folks come to us and say things like, I have an animal that, of course, I keep inside, but they like to spend time outside. Could we have a doghouse? And again, our answer always is, as long as the animal has been spayed or neutered. So that's where our other services come in. Sometimes people will say to us, oh my gosh, no, but I'm open to it. But again, money's an issue. So we will get grants and we will say to them then, okay, no problem. We will get it scheduled. Your only job is to get the animal to the appointment. So we cover the cost of spaying and neutering. And we certainly help them with food. A huge part of this too is education, teaching them that, okay, that's great, you got a doghouse, but this pet needs to come in at night, pet needs to be inside in inclement weather, and so on and so forth. And then the other portion of the population simply is folks who are low income. And again, we want to serve everyone in that city. So again, we don't ask them to prove that they're low income. They don't have to show us that they're on any programs. All they have to show us is the willingness to make certain that their animals don't have any little oops litters. And, so our biggest focus is the education and the spaying and neutering. But of course, we are like a food bank as well.
So, you mentioned the Mighican Animal Adoption Network's street team. Their Animal Care Network is also another name for that group. Tell us about the work that they do as you had mentioned, deal with the issues outside of these shelters and outside of these adoption centers, such as spaying and neutering wild or
feral
feral cats and dogs that are out there.
Yeah, they are like the eyes on the street. They are allies to everyone in the community of Pontiac. They have been doing this for over 30 years. So folks know us as the good guys who are there to protect animals. We're not there to get anyone in trouble. We get contacted sometimes like, hey, this animal's been left behind. Somebody moved away. We're not there to, prosecute anyone. Obviously, we can't anyway. That's not our job. We're a nonprofit. But we work very closely with the county if we do see cases of neglect or abandonment. We also will find, folks will contact us and say, hey, I found a feral cat colony. How can you help? And that's the education end. We will work with them to say, hey, let's work together. Let's get these cats trapped, humanely, of course. Let's get them spayed and neutered, and then let's re-release them back out to their environment. We oftentimes will use small dog houses to provide shelter for them as well. And there's many, many stories of folks in Pontiac who will take care of feral cat colonies. So they will say to us, hey, like, I'm trapping them. I'm ready to get them spayed and neutered. I just need a little help feeding them, because sometimes, if they're not contained immediately, you could have 30 cats. So we're constantly, battling that. And the coolest thing about the Animal Care Network is it doesn't matter what day of the year it is. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas, if it's Easter, if it's New Year's Day. You're out 6 days a week, 56 weeks of the year. And so that's our biggest focus at the moment. And one thing that we're always looking for is new volunteers. So I'm honored to be on the show today, to always look out for new folks that might want to join. It is the most rewarding work. It is definitely one of those things that we say to people, you will know on day one if this is for you or not, because sometimes we run into some really sad situations. An animal could be hurt. We just recently took a cat to one of our shelter partners that had been injured. We don't know how. Maybe it was hit by a car. Maybe it was just left out too long. But we live for these stories because the cat got, the right care it needed at the shelter, and it's in good hands. We found out, I think in that case, that it had feline leukemia, but that is one of those things that's super treatable, and the cat will end up getting adopted. And another great story, we found a stray dog recently. It looked like a purebred. It was a gorgeous shepherd. It was in great shape. It didn't have any wounds, or it was, good size. And when we take them to shelters like that, they can check to see if they're microchipped and put the word out to find an owner. Well, unfortunately, in that case, no owner was found, but within 2 weeks, that dog had been adopted. So, not only are we keeping these animals, in the homes of the low-income folks and fixed-income folks who want to keep them, that there in turn provides space for these ones that we sometimes find on the streets. So we're helping keep the population down in the shelters, and also keeping these pets in the home where people just love them and it's a part of their family. They just sometimes, are a little tight on cash. So it's so rewarding. And we really, we're always in need of volunteers, and we really encourage people to check it out and see if it's something they want to do.
We're joined by Lindsay Warren on the Michigan Megacast. She is the Public Relations Director and Network Manager with Mighican Animal Adoption Network. More information on the website at MighicanAnimalAdoptionNetwork.org. That's MighicanAnimalAdoptionNetwork.org for more information and to get involved. And so, Lindsay, if people are in need of some assistance for their pets through your network, how can they go about getting that assistance?
It's so easy. So we have one telephone number that folks in Pontiac can call. It's 248-678-2756. It is actually a cell phone. So we tell folks, hey, if you have language issues, because some of our clients are Hispanic and, English is not their first language, they can simply text us their name, their address, how many pets they have, and what their need is. And, of course, the biggest thing, again, always is going to be us checking to make sure that the pets are sterilized. And if they're not, we'll get that scheduled. But, we try to be as accessible as possible for everyone. And that's the easiest way for folks. Again, we've got a Facebook page. We've got all the social media accounts. folks can find us on our website as well. But, you know, the phone number is the easiest way. Jenny Berger, our Animal Care Network manager, is, like I said, on call 5 days a week, you know, Monday through Friday, but also, you know, we receive calls for the weekend. And we do have big teams that go out on Sundays that do sometimes 6 hours of work. So we're basically always on call.
More information is on their website at Mighican Animal Adoption Network.org. You can also find them on Share Detroit's website at sharedetroit.org by searching in their charities and nonprofits finder right there on their homepage. They're one of 296 now charities and nonprofits in the local area supported on the Share Detroit platform at sharedetroit.org. And so, Lindsay, just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye. If people want to get involved with the Mighican Animal Adoption Network as a volunteer and doing some of that work, like you mentioned, some of the work they go out and do on Sundays or dropping off materials throughout the week, whatever they can do, how can they get involved in volunteering?
Yes. So that's also on our website. There's a tab basically that says volunteer. There's a super short form to fill out. We have a little waiver just, you know, to make certain that everyone knows that animals are sometimes unpredictable. In 30 years, I think my boss, our president, Maurice Scott, has been bit one time, and I think it was by a Chihuahua. So, you know, basically we've learned, you know, when animals want to be approached and when not. So it's not at all a dangerous volunteer role. It's extraordinarily rewarding. We are looking for folks who love animals. We are looking for folks who can lift a bag of cat food or dog food. We're always looking for folks who are great at taking photos and video, because, you know, the huge part of this is telling our story. If we don't continue to share what we do, you know, the donations won't come in. We are solely funded on donations and grants. So documenting what we do every day is super important. We also do 2 really huge fundraising events a year. We just had our annual fur ball, and then we have Bull for Animal Rescue, and both of those are a huge portion of our funding for the year. So we like folks to volunteer if you want to be a little bit more of an indoor person versus our outdoor street team. We like to have folks who can help us sell raffle tickets to the event and help us run the silent auctions. And again, we're always looking for photographers and videographers, folks who can donate their time and their talents. We always look for sponsors for these events. So if you have a little salesperson in you, those are the kind of people we can really benefit from. And if you love animals, it's a win-win.
Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to Share Detroit as well.